right, guys, this right here is the general vertex form of a parabola. It is kind of like the equation, the general form. We're going to go through each of these letters and we're going to decide what each of these letters do to the equation or to the graph. So up, down, left, right, shift, whatever it's doing. So let's start out with this back one. We discovered certain things in the last video. This plus K will move it up or down. So remember, if it is a plus sign, it is moving it up. If it's a minus sign, it is moving it down. Okay, oh, let me scoot that over so you can actually see everything. All right, the H, if you are inside the parentheses, that's what's doing left and right. So again, if you're a plus, that is your left. And if you're a minus sign, that is the right. That one's always weird because it is the opposite of what you think it is. This B right here, this is your horizontal shrink and stretch. So if you are greater than 1, okay, so if B is greater than 1, that is a horizontal shrink. Oh, I didn't leave a huge amount of room here. If you are less than 1, guess what that is? Horizontal stretch. Okay. Now the A. The A does two different things. Let's first talk about the stretch and the shrink. So if you are an A, if you're outside the parentheses, that's the vertical stretch and shrink. So inside the brackets, that's horizontal. Outside the brackets, that's vertical. So greater than 1 is a vertical stretch. And less than 1 is a vertical shrink. Okay, so we got to be able to identify it because you'll notice in your problems that they're going to ask you to identify stretch, shrink, up, down, left, right. Also, A does control a reflection. So if this is negative, it's going to reflect over the x-axis. Okay, so I'm not going to say A does two things. Just know that A does move vertically, stretch and shrink. And if A is negative, that's when it's going to flip over that x-axis. Okay, a couple more things. Let's talk about vertical. Okay, so vertical means that it is up and down, right? And who is up and down? Is that the x-axis or the y-axis? Good. It is the y. So anytime you're doing vertical things, that's controlling the y coordinate. If you're doing horizontal things, which is left and right, that is the x coordinate. I just like to put up there so that you remember kind of what you're doing. So if you're doing a vertical stretch and a vertical shrink, that's affecting the y coordinate. If you're doing a horizontal shrink or a horizontal stretch, that is affecting the x coordinate. Okay, another thing I wanted to add, and I'll just add it right down, here is the parent function again. So we have -1, 0, 1, and then remember you got 1, 0, 1. So that's your parent function, that's beginning, and then we're going to move it around. So let's first look at A. It says, each function graphed below is a transformation of the parent. Describe the transformation, then write the equation. So let's get them over here. So this is what I kind of like to do. I kind of like to write the parent. So let's all write the parent. So the parent is -1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1. Then I like to write the new coordinates. So let's see what the new coordinates are. -2, -2, 0, 0, 2, -2. Okay, so you kind of just want to look between them both. See what's happening. Let's look at the x coordinate first. So what is happening over here on the x coordinate? How can you go from -1 to 2? From 1 to 2? Because 0 to 0, that's nothing. What if I multiply by 2? So -1 times 2, boom, 1 times 2. So I'm multiplying the x's by 2. Anytime you multiply, that's going to be stretching and shrinking, okay? So what are you doing? Who controls the x-axis? Is that the vertical or the horizontal? Look back up the top if you don't remember. That's the horizontal. So I know, and horizontal, little crazy. So we have a 2 here. So are we by 2 greater than 1? Horizontal stretch. I'm just going to put horizontal down here, and then we'll talk about that later. Horizontal. So by 2. Stretch. Okay. Now let's look at our y's. Same thing is happening with our y's. We are multiplying by 2, but what else are we doing? So if I multiply 1 by 2, that just gives me 2. If I multiply this one by 2, that just gives me 2, but I have negatives here. So I'm actually doing 2 things. I am multiplying the x's, or the y's, by 2, and I'm multiplying by a negative. Okay, so let's figure out what these mean. When you're multiplying the y's by 2, that is a vertical stretch, right? Because the y's, those are your vertical stretch of 2. What do you think the negative means? Like, look up there at that little chart. What do you think the negative is? Yes, that is a reflect. Okay, so now all we have to do, we know 3 things are happening, so now we just have to write the equation. All right, we know we have a negative out in front because we're doing a reflect. We know we have a vertical stretch, so we're going to put a 2 there because remember the vertical stretch is on the outside. In the parentheses, we're having a horizontal stretch. Now, remember the horizontal is the weird one. It's the only one that's different. When you put it back into the equation, you have to take the reciprocal. So what is the reciprocal of 2? 1/2. Good. And then you have your x, and then your squared. Okay, so let's look at it again. The negative is the reflection. Here is your vertical stretch, and here is your horizontal stretch. So you just have to remember when you're dealing with the horizontal and you're writing the equation, it's the reciprocal that actually goes back into the equation. Okay? All right, let's try another one. So let me move over. And again, what I like to do is I will write the parent down. Okay? And then I write the new guy down. So let's see what we're doing. We're going over -1, 9. And then it's 0, 0. And then we're going 1, 9. Okay. So let's look at the x's first. Is anything happening with the x's? Nope, they're the same. Look, -1, 0, 1. -1, 0, 1. Cool. What's happening with the y's? How do you get from 1 to 9? You're going to multiply y's by 9. So look up there at your little cheat sheet. Who's the y's again? Is it the vertical or the horizontal? It is vertical. Vertical stretch. Oops, forgot my T there. Is anything else happening? Nope. All right, let's write our equation. So we have y equals, now the vertical stretch goes on the outside, 9, and then you have your x squared. So this one, only one thing was happening, so it was a little bit easier. The first thing, 3 things were happening. What do we think? This is a little bit longer of a video, so sorry about that, guys. All right, let's go down to the next part. Now what we're going to do is we're going to graph it. So kind of like the opposite. They're going to give us the equation. Now we're going to graph it. Now, order does matter when you graph things. So we want to make sure we do the horizontal translation first, your left and your right. Then we'll do the horizontal shrink or stretch. We're going to reflect or vertical shrink next. And then up and down goes last. Okay, so there is kind of an order. So we want to make sure that when we're manipulating our coordinates, that we do it in the order that we should be doing it in. All right, let's first just kind of describe what's happening. So what is this 1/3 doing? That's less than 1, so we know it's a vertical shrink of 1/3. All right, now the -4 in parentheses. So in the parentheses, that is your right 4. And again, look up there at your cheat sheet. -3 outside of the parentheses, that is down 3. All right, now what I like to do is I'm always manipulating the coordinates of the parent function. So let's start out with the parent function's coordinates over here. And then I'm going to do each of these things. But which one am I supposed to do first? Let's see. Left and right goes first. And it's a horizontal. So does that affect the x's or the y's? Look back up there on your cheat sheet. Yes, it affects the x's. So right, you're moving right. That's to the plus. That's to the positive side. So I'm going to add 4 to all of these. -1 plus 4. 0 plus 4. 1 plus 4. Got it. Right 4 is done. Okay. Now, who goes next? We got a vertical shrink, so he does go next. Remember, anytime you have stretch or shrink, that's multiplication. So vertical, who is that again? Vertical is your y's. So I'm going to multiply 1/3 by all my y's. So 1 times 1/3. 0 times 1/3, 1 times 1/3, boom, got him. Okay, still got my 3, 4, 5 over here. One more time, and you'll get better at this, so you won't have to do this many T-charts. You will. Down 3, those are your y coordinates, so I'm going to -3 from all of these. So 1/3 -3, I think it's 2.6. Negative 2.6. 0 -3. 1/3 -3. And then all you guys stay the same over here. And this right here, because you've done the 3 things, you manipulated the coordinates with these 3 things, this is your parabola. So over 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2.6. Over 4, 3. Over 5, 2.6. So there is the parabola. Okay? All right, let's try again. Let's do this one over here. So first things first, you got to tell me what it does. That negative does do a reflection over the x-axis. The 2 on the inside, is that vertical or horizontal? That is a vertical, and it's a 2, so it is a stretch. And then that +5 on the outside, that's an up 5. All right, again, I like to manipulate the coordinates. I feel like it's easier to do. All right, now let's see who goes first. I do not have a left or right. I do not have a horizontal stretch or shrink. I do have a reflection and a vertical stretch. You can do these at the same time, guys. The reflection puts negatives all on the y's, and the vertical stretch multiplies the y's by 2. So you're technically multiplying by -2 to all the y's because the vertical affects the y's. So -2, 1 times -2, 0 times -2, 1 times -2. So I did both of these. I'm just checking them off at the same time. So you'll notice that you're going to be good at it, and you'll do less T-charts. You will. All right, last one, up 5. That is the y's also. So -2 plus 5, 0 plus 5, -2 plus 5. So now when you're done with all your transformations, got them all done, these points are your new guys. So over -1, 3, 0, 5, 1, 3. There you go. Okay, do your practice problems.